So welcome back to another episode, and this is a very special Christmas episode.
It's Christmas. Oh!
Yeah.
I guess that's what this is.
I could tell by your shirt.
Yeah, no, I wore my Christmas plaid shirt.
There's nothing that says Christmas more than plaid.
On me.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
I wear plaid every goddamn day.
I'm so happy to have Victor Lucas here.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, and we thought we'd sit today and talk about some Christmas memories and talk about some stuff from the 80s and 90s and share some Christmas memories of
stuff
things.
our mothers and fathers told us about from the 80s and 90s.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, yeah.
Some of the joy that they brought to us, you know, and how good they were to us. And I first of all want to say, like, my parents were like so fantastic. You know what I mean? Those are the memories.
Are they not with us anymore?
My dad he's been gone for around 20 years now.
Holy crap!
I know.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's all good, man. Like,
wow.
it's just, well, it's not good, but it's like I've learned to accept that. So I think when I think back to some of my early Christmases, that's some of the emotion that comes back, is that when my dad was around and all of that, and you know, we'll get into all of that. But we thought, like, what for you? Because you grew up with a single parent, your mom.
Yep.
And she did wonders for you.
Yeah, she did.
Absolute wonders.
She passed away last year, by the way, and that's been a you know, time to reconcile it and go through it. It was definitely it continues to be hard.
It's very hard losing a parent.
Absolutely, you know? But my mom was a champion of my passions and really respected the sort of obsessions that I had around video games and pop culture and comic books and all that stuff.
When did she notice that with you? When did she say, you know, my kid is really into Star Wars?
I have amazing story. And she took me to the first Star Wars in the theater. We actually went and saw that at the Dunbar Theater here in Vancouver.
Oh, so you've lived in Vancouver your whole life?
Well, I grew up in, I've grown up here, but I was born in Montreal and we lived in Mexico for a few years. So I had this kind of, and I credit that and thank that to my mother all the time, is that she gave me a very kind of a global mindset right from the beginning. You know, she made me realize that we are one huge connected neighborhood, not just a street block, you know, that a lot of kids kind of grow up in.
The world's a big place.
Yeah, not so much anymore. It feels like the world is definitely shrinking and people's minds are expanding.
With the internet and stuff like that.
Yeah, which is awesome. But my mom took me to Star Wars. She was as equally enamored by that film as I was, and you know, she knew that was a major moment for me, you know, coming back, and I was so in love. I was a very young kid then, and I loved R2-D2. That was my favorite, right?
Yeah, you didn't like C-3PO?
R2-D2 was
I like them both. But I know R2 was always awesome.
He was so cute.
Yeah,
you
of
know?
course.
And that's kind of what I sort of fell in love with. And later on, it was Harrison Ford and Han Solo, and everybody loves that dude.
Yeah, of course.
And she got all that. But she also noticed in, I think, that moment that I became obsessed with the idea of technology and what technology means for entertainment, ergo video games, right?
Yes.
Which video games, I think, also need to kind of tip the hat to Star Wars in perpetuity, because so much of what the business sort of, you know, how it really erupted into public consciousness. Games had existed before Star Wars, but Star Wars comes out and suddenly it's like, well, I want an interactive chess set like they had on the Millennium Falcon.
Do you remember playing The Empire Strikes Back then?
I bought the full price for that cartridge, man, and my mom probably chipped in on some of that.
The same game over and over. I mean, like, that's what we dealt with. That's what it was back then.
It was terrible. But my mom didn't have money to just fork over to get those things.
So you guys were very poor when you were younger.
We were on welfare. You know, we were broke, but she raised us in a nice neighborhood.
You and your brother.
My brother and my sister. We grew up in Kitsilano, which is a nice neighborhood in Vancouver. Wow. It's super shishi poo poo now, but you know, when we were kids, it was kind of the hippie neighborhood. There were a lot of Greeks in the neighborhood. It was a great neighborhood to grow up in. And
for your mom, like, raising 3 kids on her own, that must have been tough.
She's amazing.
Amazing.
And we cohabitated with other families at certain points, and you know, we always just rented, either it was part of a house or eventually we rented a full house, and then she actually had this kind of side business where she took care of students and stuff like that. So we were meeting students from all over the world because we were close to a university. But my mom also really clued into the fact that I loved all of these games, and I actually babysat the kids next door to us in our house in Kits one year. And I think it was Christmas time, and I was just completely obsessed with their Atari 2600. I had to have it. You know, I was just playing every single...
What games were you playing back then?
Combat.
Yeah, Combat was a big one.
Combat's seminal.
It's great. I know. It's
still good. It's still like, well, this all still works. It's like the perfect distillation of Pong, but you're shooting at each other.
At each other. My dad hated it because I started figuring it out, rebounding it off walls and killing him. He's like, oh, you just get frustrated and leave.
This is a classic.
Classic.
They had Superman and you know, Breakout and all kinds of stuff. And so I had to get one of the Atari 2600s. And my mom would play and she would watch, you know, and she would sort of get into it. And that was sort of that I think set it all off. Getting the 2600 and then saving money off my paper route to buy cartridges on a regular basis, and I was a big collector right from
So you were buying the Atari games straight away back then?
Yeah,
right? Wow.
I would go to different stores. It was weird where you would buy these things, like video stores.
No, it was different.
Computer stores. And I think Future Shop was a big, they're not a brand anymore.
Yeah, they're gone,
which is weird, but Future Shop had a bunch.
A&B Sound, maybe back was A&B Sound?
Yeah, A&B Sound and A&A Records, and wherever. Like, it was kind of weird. You would wouldn't have that same kind of loyalty thing that I think people get attached to EB Games or whatever. They
Not nowadays, right? Or Amazon.
Or Amazon,
I was at my house yesterday.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I started to buy these things, get into the collecting of them, and then I started to really kind of. That's what I spent all my paper route money on was comic books and video games.
Yeah, because a perfect child's life. That's great.
And I used to get movie passes from the I used to deliver the Vancouver Sun newspaper, and part of the thing, and I was a box manager, they called them. So I would manage the other paper routes that all the papers got delivered to this thing, and I would say, okay, you take these papers out, this is your route, and I would make sure all the stuff got delivered. And because of doing things like that,
of it, and
because of that, I was starting to get all these movie passes. One year I got like 100 movie passes.
What the hell? That's like gold back then.
I saw every movie, every single movie, like terrible movies, but all of that sort of fed into my pop culture fascination and obsession. And I also became a massive collector of all the other game systems out there. Not all. I wasn't an Intellivision guy, but I got into the ColecoVision in a big way, and I got an Atari 400 computer and an 800 compuder.
Oh, and you had some pretty good stuff back then.
I sure did, yeah. And I got the Vectrex.
Wow.
And I would treat myself every month, but around Christmas, what would happen is, you know, there was a lot of downtime, and you would just have time to kind of just play for hours, anything that you want, and that kind of fed into my future career too, right?
Because you had the time at that point,
yeah,
right?
Because you get your break time to just sort of play what you want, you know. But I do remember some of those early. One of my favorite early Christmas memories. My grandmother was visiting from Ontario one year, and we had a ColecoVision. And we had the Smurfs video game.
Oh God!
And the Smurfs video game looked like a cartoon. You
know, at that time.
That time, it was like the Ratchet and Clank equivalent on that machine. You know, and my grandmother, I remember her. She must have been in her 70s. I think she was playing the game, and just the joy in her face when she started to get the jump and and it's just such there's something about sharing your passion around games with other people and seeing them connect and get it, and and they get some love from it, that it's like your Grinch heart grows, right? It's like, oh my God.
Because this game is just like you know, a circuit board or whatever. It's not, you know, it's not real.
Yeah.
But it's the experiences you have with other people that make it real.
Absolutely.
That's what makes it like human, and that's the only thing we can relate to.
Well,
you know,
this is why I think people have sort of not calculated and have been surprised by the growth and expansion of Twitch and YouTube, is that video games are emotionally impactful forms of entertainment.
Oh yeah.
And they also aren't as fun unless you talk about them. Unless you share your experiences with somebody, it's not as fun. It's not it's not as rewarding to just beat levels in Mario or whatever.
I did that robotically. But I did this, I did that.
Unless you share that, and people do share that internally with their families, less and less so maybe now. I think people are becoming so segregated in the choices that they make for their entertainment.
Yeah.
But what's happened now is Twitch and YouTube have allowed people to make communities and share those experiences, and they amplify their love for that entertainment because they share that they're playing it, as opposed to just sitting there beating things and having that little win, you know?
When you were a kid, you can tell everybody how much you were enjoying the Smurfs. You had your grandmother over. That was cool. You could see her experience.
Yeah.
And then you'd have a friend down the street. Maybe he would like video, or he or she would like video games.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a lot of people. Now you can build those communities at a young age.
And
it's cool.
It might be why I think for the crowd that would specifically watch this video or our stuff on our channel is there's less of a connection to mobile, because mobile is all real, apart from the leaderboards and things like that, it's really still built around that solitary, singular experience. You know, like you don't really share your victories there. You don't talk about them, right? Like nobody comes in. Maybe Pokemon Go, I think, probably tapped into that a little bit, because people would talk about what they had. But yeah, that was an amazingly important moment, I think, for me, because I was a kid recognizing that there was emotion attached to this game and this play style. And certainly I got that from my friends playing together. I remember playing Pac-Man in I think I told you this before, but I was playing Pac-Man in a pool hall that had a bunch of old Greek dudes in it, and they were all playing backgammon.
Yeah.
But I was playing Pac-Man, and it was a new machine, and they all came over to watch because it was so crazy, and I was doing well, and they're like, oh, 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 and they all got into it with
There's a last Starfighter moment, you know?
And I looked around, there's all these old Greek dudes in their fishing caps, and like, wow, this is crazy. I had an audience watching me play Pac-Man.
Because it was cool. They didn't know what it was, but like they were like, this kid knows what's going on, and we're enjoying watching him, you know? That was probably like the very first Twitch stream live, you know, playing Pac-Man.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I do have one really profound, I mean, here's what Christmas has become for me, right? I play, I don't know, 1,000 games a year. It feels like.
We all play a lot of games
I
a
play
year,
so many games to try to review them and to get through them and to talk about them, and I have for 20 years now. And so Christmas is like, okay, I've played what I had to play. I played what I had to say something about. I've done the awards thing or whatever, because we've been doing awards since the first year of our EP website. Yeah. So like I've always had to kind of homework games and get to
do it for the show, and exactly.
But then in the Christmas spirit time,
pure entertainment time.
Yeah, I get to choose. I get to go and refinish a game I love, and usually it's like I play through Uncharted again or something, or Arkham again. Yeah. But I do remember, you know, I've never been an enormous PC game player. I've always had.
I never had a PC. It wasn't that I was against it when I was a kid. I just never had it. All my friends down the neighborhood had these incredible PCs running Doom, and I was like jealous.
Yeah, I would have them, but I've always found it just way easier to just sit in front of the couch and put my feet up. And
well, back in the '80s, it was tough. Like to put in a video game on your computer, you had to type so much stuff. I mean, it was like watching a magician make this stuff work. I didn't get it, so it was like
and confliction.
So like, I'll just put in Final Fantasy, click. You know, that made sense. It was easier for me to understand.
Totally, it was, they were built for one specific thing. I have been lucky enough to have PC game systems along the way and have gone back and forth. And now the way I play PC games is just like a console. I plug it into the TV.
Now you can.
Yeah, and it's amazing. And I'm a huge fan.
Oh,
And VR, sort of all that stuff. I love all that stuff. But,
HTC Vive, of course,
Yeah, but one of my big moments, my big gaming and Christmas moments was playing the original Call of Duty on a PC on downstairs, and it was all at my desk, and I was hunched over, which is not comfortable.
Darkness, like,
you know, and this is the thing I railed against. I mean, I was doing my WASD and my mouse moves, and I think the thumbstick sitting back is more comfortable. Still,
and your mom was like, "Are you down here, Victor?" And you're like,
I had long moved out, but I was with my girlfriend. She was upstairs, but I was.
So you did it to her,
I was playing Call of Duty. Yes, kind of ignoring everybody. I think it was on a Christmas Eve, but. Have you played the original Call of Duty game?
No, I've never have. No.
Oh my God, it is a great game.
Yeah.
And you know, and obviously it was the birth of this juggernaut franchise that is just an unstoppable force, right?
Yeah.
But that first Call of Duty game really was this profound celebration of the horrors of World War II. Yeah. You know, like a real memento of what soldiers went through in the best sort of production that was capable, that the developers were.
That's the one thing I do remember. Yeah, watching it. Yeah.
And you get to the end of the game, and you play a mission where you're one of the Russian soldiers, and they didn't have weapons. They didn't have enough money to give every soldier a weapon, and so you're on a boat and you're landing and you're trying to fight back against the Germans. And you got a belligerent, army officer yelling at you, get into combat, get out there and fight these guys right now, but I don't have a weapon. Get one off of the fallen soldier ahead of you. And that's what they did in real life, is they would wait till someone died and they would grab the gun that they had.
Emotional. Yeah.
I was crying. I was playing this game going, holy shit, I had no idea that people... It's horrifying.
It hits such a nerve.
And it was succinct... direct connection to something I hope, no one ever has to go. I mean, I know people are going through it, but holy crap, it was a reality that people were fighting for freedoms and for safety and for, it was a full good versus evil kind of huge battle that happened, and it was a video game that connected me to that moment, and it was profound.
I know. It's not just programming ones and zeros. At that point, something happened, something emotional, something human. And that's it, like, all these games that I have, it's like, there's human experiences behind them all. It's not just like, this game was a good game. It's like, there's an emotional memory that I have of that time and that moment, you know what I mean? Like for me, like Super Mario Brothers 2, I mentioned this on the show before, I got it Christmas morning, and it's like, for me, like when I think back to Christmas, is that my mom and sister and my dad were all there, around the Christmas tree, handing out presents, and it's funny, you think those moments will last forever, and they don't. They're bubbles. We're all in bubbles in life, and there's the fireplace, little cinders are flying out, and a real Christmas tree smell. But I opened this Christmas present, and it was Super Mario Brothers 2, and I was like, oh my god, and everybody in school was like talking about this game, and I plugged it in and played it, and it's just like one of those memories I will never, ever forget. And it's not like the game was good, but it was what was going on at that time with everybody else. Like, there's my dad alive still, there's my sister young, and my mom young, and my mom and dad happy together. That's what it reminds me of now when I look back, and the smell of that Christmas tree and the fire. I mean, it just takes me back in a way. And now when you get older, and I look back, it's like, oh my god, what a treasured time. And that's what I look back on now. It's like just so intense. It's amazing that a video game is just a video game, but it's really about life. It's really about, where we're at in our lives at that point, when you play Call of Duty that day, it was the right moment, the right time, and the right emotion all hit at the right time, and made a video game go from like a game to like something else, like something way else out there.
Obviously, I mean, it was like for us, right? Like we have spent huge chunks of our time making content around this stuff to communicate about it. It is something else.
And that's why I think we wanted to communicate, because we loved it so much.
Absolutely.
That we couldn't just like, I like that video game. It's like, no, I love that video game.
You don't understand.
No, get there. You're slamming our fist down, going completely insane. And I think that's why we've always done it. It's not just because like, it's cool to talk about video games. It's like, no, we grew up in a time where we grew up where video games were our lives.
Yeah.
Like we're really a big, huge part of our lives. And then we got older and like, we want to talk about it now.
Yeah, I mean, one of the great memories that I have is, around the Sega Genesis days, because I gobbled all of that stuff. What happened with me is I went to university and I kind of took a break and I got into acting and.
Left video. So what was your last game system that you left at that point?
I had left at basically the Vectrex and that kind of stuff,
Wow.
And I had sort of left it alone to get into acting and get into school and.
Is that where you want to be an actor?
Yeah, I was going to be an actor. Yeah. And then I got back into games through acting school. I don't know what happened. I think I just needed the extra creative outlet or something like that. But I got an NES kind of late in the cycle, and then I got the Super Nintendo. I got the Sega Genesis and then the Super Nintendo. But I really got back in full.
That was a good time to get back in.
Yeah, and I was spending $300 a month on games like crazy. But one of the things that I did when I was younger, I'm just out of school and sort of in the workforce, I was a waiter. I lived with a bunch of my friends. There was 7 of us that shared a house together. And it was a great thing, except we became, my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and I were kind of like the house parents. We had to collect the rent from everybody, and that kind of sucked,
everybody's eating nachos in their underwear, that kind of lifestyle, right?
Totally. Yeah. But one thing that I do have, it's a really idyllic and cherished memory, and this must have been around the wintertime, because this is when the game came out. I bought Sonic the Hedgehog, the first one, right?
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
And I brought it home to the home of 7...
Everybody's waiting, the window.
Early 20-somethings, and we all played it together. And that theme song comes up, and we're like, da 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 da, and we started making up words, like the whole
making lyrics.
Yeah, we started making up lyrics, and we're singing it together. And we're
awesome.
playing the game together, and then we popped in some NHL and played some back and forth and shared the thing. And then that was the first time. Remember the multi-tap started to happen for the Super Nintendo and
I remember very well.
Yeah, and so
Bomberman.
I try 4-player games and 5-player games and Bomberman, and it was. games are meant to be shared. Even the single-player games are meant to be shared, right?
Even I get excited by your story. It's like, it's so much fun when you're younger and you have all your friends come over and you share these, like, Bomberman used to be a religion. Everybody used to come over and we'd all sit and we'd be so competitive about Bomberman. And we'd be psyching each other out. I mean, it was about the human interaction. Online is good now, but I love having a bunch of people in the room any day of the week.
Like GoldenEye and Wave Race 64. Those are amazing days. And I just talked about this in our Rocket and Reagan Awards, that Overwatch, which is insane. It's such a brilliant, beautiful game, but it brings me directly back to playing GoldenEye with people beside me on the couch. And there's something about the accessibility and the charm of Overwatch, this sort of cartoony, don't take it too seriously kind of vibe, even though people are taking it very seriously now. But it just feels so, like there's so much love and sharing happening around Overwatch that it reminds me of GoldenEye. You know, even though it was competitive, it was still just a lot of like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. And Halo, the first Halo, kind of brought that a little bit.
Flew my mind.
Yes,
I didn't expect Halo 1 to be so good. I actually I got Knights of the Old Republic. I bought the game, but I didn't have an Xbox at the time. One of my friends did. He's like, I said, can I just borrow your Xbox for 2 weeks? He's like, yeah, I don't play it. So he's like, so he brought over a box, and there was the Xbox, and there was Halo in it, and I'm like,
wait. The original Xbox?
The original Xbox.
So the box.
So there was the box. So he backed it up in his truck into the house. Exactly. And him and his entire family helped me move it out. You know.
You lived in the Xbox.
We lived in the Xbox for 2 years after that. But I know
you and your family tried to move the buttons around on the controller.
Yeah, we got all our grandmothers to be carrying the Duke. You know, they all worked together to do it. But anyways, you know, so I remember putting in Halo. I played Knights of the Republic, and it was life-changing. I was like, this is the best Star Wars RPG I've ever played, and still to this day it is. I thought, okay, later on I'll put in Halo, and I put in Halo, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
That great world building.
Holy! I've been into first-person shooters, kind of, but that game solidified my love. I was just so into the world, and I was so and it was
mysterious. And I think that the challenge that Halo has had ever since is they've never been able to get that mystery again, because you only get that once. And you can't just relive it over and over again.
It's the same thing. You know, I'm not getting into negativities here, but I've kind of worn down on Halo a little bit now. It's not as fun and exciting as the first, second, and third. But fourth was like, fifth was like, okay.
All of these games end up being Christmas memories, right? All of your favorite ones, because those are what you go back to, like Metal Gear Solid 3, getting to the boss at the end.
Oh, that was insane. The Shagaloo, I'm forgetting the name of it. I remember that was a life-changing thing.
Yeah, I mean,
so amazing.
That was one that I played alone.
Me too.
And I got chills, and I got emotional, and it was just like, oh my god, I can't believe what I had to do, and it was just so beautiful. It was like, at that same time that I got into that game, that 24 show that had just premiered.
Yes.
Or it was like in season 2. Which used to be amazing, right? It was an amazing, inventive new idea for TV. And it was so analogous, you know? It took me 25 hours to beat Metal Gear 3, and it takes 24 hours to watch 24, and the fantastical elements of 24 and Metal Gear 3 kind of paralleled each other in a lot of ways, you know? Like it was just so surreal, all the stuff that you had to do. And also at the end, you're just like, whew, you know, like there's an exhaustion. But I remember bounding upstairs to tell my wife what I had just accomplished and what I had just gone through.
And she said, that's nice, dear.
Yeah, I mean, she, you know,
she's cool with it.
Yeah, no, Marcy's always my wife. Marcy has always kind of recognized what these things mean to me, and she acknowledges it. She's not always, you know, as effusive and, you know, like filled with curiosity around it, but she absolutely respects it all. You know, when she saw me, you know, freaking out at the revitalized Lara Croft in the Tomb Raider,
which was fantastic.
The one that Crystal D did. A couple of years ago, or a few years ago.
That was amazing.
It was amazing, and I was like, "Look at this, man! They're making some huge strides, and this isn't." And she was, because she had, of course, been with me from the very first Lara Croft. The big boobed Lara Croft, and all the blockiness and the stiff tank controls. So she, you know,
she appreciated it.
She appreciates it, and now she's been along for the ride with me, and me spouting off about this stuff for so long.
Has she done virtual reality?
Yeah, I got her. That's also a great memory, because trying on the PlayStation VR. And she always approaches this stuff with like, oh, okay, whatever.
I'll give it a shot. Yeah.
You know, sure, a little bit of skepticism, which
Yeah.
I think is healthy. And I let her try the Until Dawn. The Until Dawn. What the hell's it called? With the
you know, I was just Dusk Till Dawn. I always fuck it up by saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it called? Until Dawn.
Blood rush.
Rush or something like
Oh my
Rush
God,
of Rush of Blood or something.
Yeah, right, yeah, something like that.
Something,
Even I'm forgetting. It's like it's my game. Number one game of VR.
Well, it's a generic title, and there's too many words in it, right?
Yeah.
They should have just said they should have just come up with a brand, but they wanted to use the Until Dawn brand. It's the carnival shooter roller coaster game hybrid, which you think, okay, sure.
Yeah, you got to go in with low expectations, right?
It's incredible.
Some of the reviews.
Rush of Blood is called.
Yeah, everybody was complaining about it. Oh, this isn't good. I played it. I'm like, this is the best game I've played in PlayStation
It's
VR.
amazing. And you don't need to use the move controls. I think what happened is probably a lot of the people played it with move controls. They don't really work that great. The move
they worked okay for me.
Well,
if you're really close, you look really close.
Yeah, but I used the controller. No issues. They worked out great. And she was screaming and freaking out.
It's scary.
It's very scary and
Did you do the Resident Evil 7 demo?
No, not yet.
Holy shit!
I heard it's great.
It terrified the hell out of me.
Yeah, I heard it's great.
It freaked me out.
Yes.
Like, I felt like E.T. You know when E.T. gets scared, he's like, "Wah." That dude. I felt so embarrassed. Thank God only Kim was there.
Did your neck go up?
I was a little tired when I was a little tired, and I'm playing. And this one bit happens. I won't spoil it. I'm not spoiling it for you either.
Yeah.
I swear my tongue was like 10 times out here. I felt in my mouth, and even Kim said, she's like, I was terrified just watching the screen, and then seeing your reaction was even.
That's a little too easy for VR to freak the shit out of us, isn't it?
Let's go into the dark basement and see what's there.
It's like that's like low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
But I do want to experience it. I have an aversion to playing the demos, though. You know, just like I don't really like to do too much preview, reviewing. I like the thing to be finished, and I like to just be able to totally immerse myself. Mostly it's because I'm busy. Yep. Mostly it's because I'm just dealing with what's new and what I'm trying to play to talk about already, and to
I'm gonna cut my leg in here.
to try to. Like,
my legs fall asleep when we said I never do the show for this long, so when it says my legs are falling asleep, I'm good.
I can talk. I'm sorry.
No, I'm loving it. We're on everything here. We're supposed to do Christmas memories, and we're like doing everything.
Well, I think games are Christmas memories.
Yeah,
that's my point.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Like they just seep into it. Like
it's supposed to be fun.
Right. You know what? I'm playing the new Dead Rising 4, and I know that game companies are really nervous about creating Christmas themes inside of games because they sell them all at Christmas.
Yeah.
And then if you put them in that category, they kind of date themselves so that they don't sell, in other months. And I think that's bullshit. First of all, because Christmas is such a huge theme and a great kind of common
good atmosphere.
Point.
It's a good atmosphere for a game.
And holy crap, is it wonderful in Dead Rising 4?
Yeah.
The Christmas music that they're blaring.
It's so surreal, right?
I love it.
You got zombies and beautiful Christmas at the same time.
The game isn't the greatest.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's a good faster approximation of the Dead Rising kind of sort of mechanics, but the setup, the Christmassy stuff, I love that.
Do you? I know I'm putting you on the spot here. Do you remember the game Blue Stinger on the Dreamcast?
I kind of do.
Oh, it was like a Resident Evil style game.
Okay,
and, it was a launch game, and there was this point in the game. It was like same thing. It was like you'd be running around, and they had this amazing Christmas music, and you'd be being chased by these fucking.
I remember that. Yes.
Do you remember? It's like it was on a base in the middle of the ocean.
Yes.
Yeah, type of thing. It's a very early Dreamcast.
So the camera angles would change every time you moved from scene to scene.
They were very awkward. Some of the camera angles.
Yeah, I remember reviewing that and not liking it too much. But
it aspired to do well.
Yeah,
it aspired to do well. But the Christmas part, and there's some great Christmas bits in video games. Dead Rising was the coolest one I saw. I'm like, that's perfect. That's really perfect.
I have awesome Christmas memories associated with the show because we've always done Christmas specials throughout the years on EP.
Yeah.
But the best one that we ever did was. We had a house in Richmond, my wife and I, and we basically converted it into like a Hallmark Christmas special house, and we always hired really good local crews, and we hired a grip and a camera operator, and they had access to a jib, And so we actually set the jib up outside of our house and had some great flybys of the house that was all decked out with Christmas lights. And the camera would actually come in through the front window, and then Tommy and I would be sitting at the around the Christmas tree in our pajamas, drinking cocoa,
That's awesome.
and talking about what we got each other for Christmas. And
what
stuff.
year was that? Do you remember?
It would have been like 2003, maybe 2002, 2003.
Classic, right?
Yeah, that was super cool.
Classic.
Super fun. Yeah.
How long did it take you to decorate the house?
It took a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually Tommy, I think, busted the window when he tried to sneak in the window, and he knocked something off of the.
Great.
It's
we
okay.
we love that at Christmas time. The open window, no problem.
Yeah, it was too. It was freezing.
Know? Yeah, I know. Back then with the show with you and Tommy, it was so classic, right? You guys did so much. You did so many reviews in the craziest places too.
We had a lot more time per episode.
Yeah.
You know, and
where was the show? Was that a weekly show? At that
it was
point?
weekly. Yeah. It was,
so you could a bit more. You could handle that.
Yeah, we had a pretty decent budget back then. It was we've never had huge budgets, but we had a pretty decent budget, and we would spend it on time, and we would spend it on like Tommy would come up, and it would be. Not just bang 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 on some of these throws and stuff. We'd probably do like 2 days of shooting studio throws, and then we'd go out and shoot some reviews and stuff.
Yeah.
But he would come up for a sizable chunk of time, or I would go down to Los Angeles for a sizable chunk of time. And we just had a little more time with everything.
So in the later years of the show, up to the final years of the show, how many episodes were you doing then a week?
We did 5 a week. Of EP, and then
dude, I'm telling you about burnout. That's insane.
Well, we didn't get burnout. We loved it. It was.
But that's a huge schedule.
It was huge. To
be taken seriously.
The only way, and I texted Scott this actually not too long ago. There is a December burnout that happens. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Right. Like there's just like video game.
So much stuff going on.
Come on. Do we need every single thing out at the same time? Like and then I get emails like, when's that review coming? When's that review? It's like, guys, like honestly. I'm trying to review as much as I can.
Yeah.
I'm not talking from the viewers. I'm trying to get the content out to the viewers as much as possible. But it's the publishers and the partners that we have out there. They all want to see the reviews and the content too. Mm-hmm. But if you release it all at the same time, it's really hard to, unless you have a huge team, to get to everything all at once. And that's.
There's so much release now. Yeah, Christmas time now is like nuts. This year was nuts.
And then it just hurts these companies that don't have the marketing budgets of Call of Duty.
Why not wait till March, man?
Because they're begging for exposure, and now there are a million ways to see something, but it's just spread and smeared the viewership and the audience in a million different directions.
Could you imagine if the South Park game came out when it was supposed to?
Yeah.
Thank God it got pushed back.
Totally.
So we have the time to play it and enjoy it after this, insanity that is Christmas gaming this year.
Yeah.
It's like every year is like the best year of gaming ever. I swear it just keeps getting better and better. Like PlayStation VR this year and all the host of incredible games. Nobody can be unhappy with the Christmas, the releases this year. There's something for everybody. There's got to be.
And also, the quality level has been unbelievably consistent this year as well.
Yeah.
There might not be as many 10s. I think it will surprise people, the game that I chose as my Game of the Year choice.
Are you not saying it?
No, because I want people to watch the Rockin' and Reagan Awards on our...
When that'll be Friday?
We're going to get as much as we can. It ended up being a lot of
This won't be
production.
out till next week.
Okay, so it should be up. It should be all up on our channel, on our EPN channel.
Yeah.
But I think it will surprise people. And the reason why I chose it is I gave it a huge score, but it was also... it was a year of 9s and 8s as opposed to, a bunch of towers of 10s.
Yes.
This year.
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, that means that the developers have had time to really understand this technology and getting, tons of great content to us at a good price.
Yeah.
And that choice is amazing. Like, you can't really go wrong. If you're a shooter fan and you buy any of Overwatch, Doom, Battlefield 1, Call of Duty, or Titanfall 2, none of those are bad, so have a great time with any one of those games, And those are great gifts if you're talking about something for a shooter.
To get the most out of it. It's funny, I don't think I can pick a game of the year.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about later on in the month a lot of the games I liked, but my God, picking one? It's impossible nowadays.
That's what you do. That's what you do every year.
I can't pick one.
There's not one.
Last year I said I can't pick one.
Yeah.
And I picked a bunch of my favorites of the year because, like, there's so many. To narrow it down to just this one game beats all of these, it's impossible.
Well, it's not fair.
It's not fair.
But it's fun content.
It's fun content. Yeah, it's fun content.
Yeah.
And so everybody comes in going, that's not my game of the year. Screw you.
Well, that's part of the...
It is part of the fun.
Scott and I did the 100 best video games of all time. We did a whole series. We did a new video every day.
I was planning to do that too, but I was like, Jesus, the cross-referencing, the sit-down time to figure that out would be astronomical.
It was tough, yeah. And there were a lot of games that we gave.
What's your number one game of all time?
We gave it to Grand Theft Auto 3. Not because it's maybe the best mechanically built game, but what it did is usher in a new level of maturity in the games industry, and not necessarily because we can beat up on hookers, but because because of the the sort of dramatic storytelling and the open world quality of it. It suddenly made an impossible dream a reality that has become so influential as games have progressed. Like, look, Final Fantasy V was influenced by Grand Theft Auto, or 15 was influenced by Grand Theft Auto 3 to a degree.
This is the driving.
No, well, in its open world
sense.
Yeah, I mean, the open world used to be a genre. Now it's become so proliferate. It's a part of an extension of everything, and that's thanks to the craftsmanship of Grand Theft Auto 3.
When did Grand Theft Auto 3, when was that released? Do you remember?
I think that was 2001.
2001, same time as Shenmue. Shenmue had a bit of an open world environment as well.
Yeah. Our number 2 was Super Mario 64.
Yeah.
And now, I'm pretty sure it was. It's all from memory now, but the reasoning why we gave that, it was because that was the
groundbreaking, going from 2D to 3D. That huge, massive jump.
Right, and proving it out that it could happen, right? And also became so seminal that nobody could touch it for years.
Everybody copied this formula. It's still being copied now.
They copied and copied and copied, but nobody could really replicate what Nintendo had accomplished with its first. For a few years, and. It wasn't necessarily the best Mario experience. You could argue that Super Mario World is a better Mario game than Super Mario 64.
Yeah.
But Super Mario World was like the
game changer for the industry.
Yeah, it really did, and that's kind of the direction that we went. You know? But Last of Us is up there.
It's very good. Yeah. You'd be surprised. I've never mentioned it ever on the show. Well, my favorite video game of all time.
You've never mentioned your favorite video game of all time?
Well, no. I should say what I think is the best video game. I have my nostalgic one. Everybody knows in the show's Phantasy Star on the Master System. Life changer.
Yeah.
But the game that if I had to pick my number one game of all time for all games ever made, having that kind of level, I'd say Tetris.
Yeah, that was high on our list too.
It's just because it's a game anybody can pick up, and anybody can become really good at. It's very addicting. It's very fun. It's accessible. It's one of those games that's accessible by anybody and everybody, and it's a geniusly made game. I mean,
how many Christmases did people spend playing Tetris on the Game Boy?
Billions of hours,
right? Like
nobody. There needs to be a scientist to go and figure that crap out. Yeah. Like it would be thousands of lifetimes. It'd be unbelievable. But that game I would say.
Okay, so what would you say then is the best video game of all time, taking into consideration modern day production and quality?
Easy. With no nostalgia involved, I'd say my favorite and the best video game ever made is probably Skyrim for its world building, for its size, all the things you can do in the world. But like for me in high school, I said it before, that I used to sit, I'd be in social studies class or math class, and I'd be looking out the window, dreaming about what I might wanted my favorite video game to be. And I was a big Dungeons and Dragons player, and I thought I would love to be in the world, and walking around and could go anywhere and interact with anybody. I wanted that kind of play, that kind of an entertainment. But it was like, I go home and I play Dragon Warrior. I was like, oh, okay, well, And it wasn't until I played Skyrim did I know that, we can accomplish those things now. And so that's why I give it that moment.
Todd Howard is a lot like that.
Yeah.
I had the very cool opportunity to be in D.C., where they're based in Maryland, and I visited the studio before Oblivion. And Oblivion really kind of was
a big thing.
Yeah, that kind of proved out this sort of open worldness, and And
I bought a 360 because of Oblivion.
And this was before the 360 had come out.
Yeah.
But I think I was there. I don't know what the hell I was there for. I was there for some other game. But I reached out to Bethesda and we went to visit them and got some interviews on something that's coming out. And he showed me the game, and I saw and he said basically the same thing, is that he's always dreamed about playing real-time, open-world, action-oriented experiences based on the rule set and the complexities of role-playing games that he grew up with, pen and paper role-playing games. And that's exactly what they built with Oblivion and then refined with Skyrim. And he showed me, the shield and the sword as you were going through a forest and getting
the rudimentary versions of it. Yeah.
Well, no, they looked amazing.
Oh, they were at that point.
Yeah, because he wanted to show me what the Xbox 360 architecture was capable of.
Yeah.
And it blew my freaking mind. Like the glare and the glint and the reflections.
This is him showing you Oblivion.
Yeah, Oblivion.
Yeah. Okay.
But
yeah.
I got that sense from Todd that this is this drive, and that honestly, this is what's fueled the success of Oblivion and Skyrim and Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, is this drive to create an invisible link between that one-to-one interaction and this unbelievably gratifying and complex rule set behind the game.
Definitely.
That you feel like there's real consequence with everything that you're leveling up and every choice that you have, every single choice that you have in the way that you work your way through these worlds.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly complex, but the thing that gave him the most glee was I think the crystallization, that realization of that production quality was like photoreal almost.
Yeah.
It's
unbelievable what they've done.
Yeah.
Like my favorite video game of all time is Phantasy Star.
Yeah.
And that was taking the pen and paper RPG and giving me like 3D dungeons and like an anime style. It was the first, like, in 1988, seeing anime style in a video game was pretty rare, pretty brand new. And so that's why Phantasy Star is my ultimate. But Oblivion and Skyrim just took it to a whole other level. And
totally.
Can you imagine in the next few years if they incorporate VR? And we're talking even about 5 years away.
So you're as big a fanatic around VR as I am right now,
Definitely.
aren't you? It's amazing, isn't it?
I mean,
and people aren't really... Because it's expensive and it's another... And you know what it is? It's like, okay, you got an awesome console, an awesome PC. You go out and buy another awesome console, another PC, so you can get access to this game.
Yeah.
It's a crazy proposition. It's so much money.
Yeah.
But, as we discussed on our review of X-Wing, have you seen the nice replies that we've gotten from the Criterion Games?
People like it. Yeah.
No, but the Criterion Games people, because it was Criterion that built it for DICE. Did you know that?
Well, I didn't know all the details.
Yeah, no, they've been watching the video and sharing it amongst their team. Our review of the X-Wing VR mission, they are all blown away, and they are so happy that we loved it as much as we did.
That's like
I've been getting all these tweets from these guys. It's like, all right, they built us an amazing, beautiful gift, especially after, oh my God, you haven't seen Rogue One as we're shooting this. Wait till you see Rogue One and how much you're going to want to play that VR mission again.
Well, I will.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful thing when you really enjoy something and you get all excited about it, and then you find out that behind the scenes, I didn't have any clue that anybody had watched it. The funny thing is, I got in touch with, remember the game Wonder Boy?
Yeah.
Years ago, the Wonder Boy creator got in touch with me, and he said he watched my video and stuff like that. And we got in contact. I got a goddamn birthday card from the Wonder Boy creator.
That's amazing.
And he signed, and then I sent him all my stuff, and that's like energy giving energy, I call it.
Totally, brother.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
He was excited that I loved this game. I was like, oh my God, the Wonder Boy creator sent me a fucking birthday card.
Well,
it's insane.
Well, if you want to talk Christmas, and I'm not trying to one up you here or anything.
No, please. You've talked to so many industry insiders.
Well,
and stuff like that.
The greatest person I've talked to, the person that's turned into my legitimate hero is Stan Lee. He's a kind of a controversial figure because he's taken credit for some stuff over the years, or there's been issues around credit.
But you can't knock him. He's Stan fucking Lee.
Yeah, he's been a part of so much beautiful work and so much. Work that's influencing so many people today and has changed the world forever.
It's a positive thing.
Right? He's incredible.
Yeah.
And plus, he's just an incredible human.
Yeah.
And we've interviewed him several times on EP. And one year he sent, because we sent him the videotape, a VHS or whatever, a tape of his
Back
work
in the
on
day,
the show.
yeah.
This was in like 2002 or... No, 2000. It was in 2000, because we were on Discovery Science Channel then with EP, and and we interviewed him, and we sent them the thing. And he sent back a Christmas card, which was a 70s classic Spider-Man Christmas card. And he signed it, and he wrote every one of the team members' names into the card. And
who does that? I mean, it was at his level. Who does that?
He's an amazing,
such a personable person.
Yeah, and that was that. I framed that card.
Damn right, you framed that card.
Yeah, no, he's one of a kind.
He's definitely one of a kind.
Yeah.
And
he's a living Walt Disney, is what he is.
Definitely. Yeah.
You know, and I was at Disney Land this year with my daughter and my wife, and I there's a great, awesome, famous statue of Walt Disney with Mickey Mouse, and I recognized right then and there that Disneyland has to put up a statue of Lucas with Yoda and Stan Lee with Spider-Man. Yeah. You know, because that's what Disney is now.
And you have to think, this is almost historic that in like 100 years, people are going to look back on George Lucas and Stan Lee. And, you know, like maybe Stan Lee didn't create everything, but he is the figurehead of it all. Yeah. You know what I mean? And these people are very, very important. Okay, I'm breaking topic again. Yeah. Did you go to Star Tours? Dude, I love it.
Of course, Star Tours, yeah. Yes.
I am obsessed with Star Tours.
It's amazing. I think we did that 3 times.
I did 5 times. I'm one up with you on that.
You know what we did do, and my daughter is, we were there for her 4th birthday, so she was 4, and she was kind of under the line that you have to get on. But it used to be Space Mountain. It's Hyperspace Mountain now.
Why is it hyperspace?
Because it's all Star Wars. And so you go through, and there's Star Destroyers and TIE fighters zipping around, and all kinds of great music and sound effects. And it's like fast roller coaster, if anybody doesn't know this. And Ruby, who's 4, she was in the front row with my wife.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, and she was just like, and there's a picture of her, because they take a picture of it. She's just like, it was a little too surreal. Yeah, it was crazy, but she had a good time.
Well, I went on my honeymoon with my wife, and sirens are going on by there. Yeah. They're coming to get me. They know. They know how much I love Star Tours. Yeah. But I went about for
Nerd Bust.
Yeah, it's definitely.
You have some cartridges in here we need. And some action figures.
I would have been locked up a long time ago if that was the case. I'd be in jail.
Everybody down on the ground.
Yeah, we're taking your VR helmet. It's done. Get out of here. But I went for my honeymoon with my wife, and I thought, okay, we'll go see Star Tours. It was religious. This is me. We're watching it. And it starts off, and I'm like, this is so cool. I mean, like I felt like a kid again. Yeah. But once it starts up, I grabbed Kim's arm, and because I didn't know it would be scary. And I was like squeezing my talons into her, and she's like, okay, I couldn't handle it. It was
I'm not enjoying this.
Yeah, I did it to a couple more times, and I started to let go. I'm like, okay, I can handle this after the 5th time. But you know what's so cool is I walked out of there. And, you know, like Kevin Smith talks about when he walked into the Millennium Falcon, as he was walking up the thing, he started going down in age till he was like 6. I felt that way when I came out of Star Tours. Yeah. And I went into the toy section, and you could buy all the Star Tours toys. I'm like, oh my God, it just was like religious for me. And I'm like, we're doing it again. We're doing it again. We're doing it again. I can't wait for the new Star Wars theme park to open up. That's like, I cannot wait for that. Yeah. It's going to be unbelievable.
Disney has been great caretakers so far, right? Mm-hmm. You know, like
very good.
They handle this.
Very good.
Yeah,
very good.
We talk about Christmas stuff. I mean, like, this is going to be a great Christmas event now. I think. Well, I think this one's out at Christmas time, and then the next one, episode 8, is in summer, isn't it?
No, it's coming out in December. I think. Same.
I think it's in summer.
No, they pushed it back.
Did they?
Yeah, they pushed it back.
So episode 8 is the next Christmas
I believe
again?
So, absolutely.
Oh wow! So this might become a Christmas tradition is to go to Star Wars movies.
Well, I know.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, the night before I was downloading the music for the movie, and I listened to a little bit of it. Yeah. Then I go see the movie. Like, how spoiled are we? We get a new Star Wars movie every year. I mean, this is what we dreamed about as a kid.
And 3 or 4 superhero movies, you know.
Yeah. Well, more like 20 superhero movies a year. Like, like that's. I love superheroes more than anything. I grew up with them like you did. But it's so much.
There's an exhaustion thing.
When I start seeing Thor 15, I'm like, you know, okay, I get it. I get it. Yeah. I've had my fill. You know, in the 80s, all we ever wanted was for superhero movies to be mainstream. I remember being excited in school that Batman by Tim Burton, and it still was very underground. Like at school, you didn't talk to a lot of people about it. You were like, yeah, Batman. It was still nerdy. Yeah. Where now it's like oversaturation. There's so much where I was happy to have Superman. I was happy to have Batman, and that was a wonderful time, and now it's almost like so much. Yeah, be careful what you wish for.
Legends of Tomorrow, which is actually a really good show, is
The Legends of Tomorrow. I don't know that.
Yeah, this is another CW show. They have 4, right? And they just did an event where they had Supergirl, Flash, Arrow, and Legends of Tomorrow, a crossover
I can't
across all
keep
four
up.
of them. And Legends of Tomorrow includes all of the Justice Society of America. It's a time traveling show, so they've had Jonah Hex and all kinds.
Bloody God.
So it is just an insane. It's like here's a waterfall of superhero licenses. It's crazy. It is hard to keep up with it all.
Do you think it's going to be a bubble and it's going to explode?
You know what? I think the world kind of needs superheroes right now. I think we there's still, you know, we're shrinking and we're getting information so quickly, but I feel like there's a lot of bad news, and I think that there's a lot of outlets like cable outlets and stuff like that, news outlets that just thrive on the money that they make from bad news.
Yeah, the negativity.
So the antidote to that is losing our hope and faith in heroes that we love, like Star Wars heroes or superheroes.
Yeah.
So I think there's a really profound reason why these things are so successful.
People want
the
that
technology
now.
is good enough that they can make these things look more realistic, but B, I think we love that simplistic idealism.
Yeah.
You know that.
Quite literally, it is the day the day of the geek now. It is the day, like, you know, and I've always hated using that term. I never called, you know, being into all the stuff I was into over the years, I never called myself a nerd or a geek. Because why?
All that.
I never felt that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now it's so funny. Everybody's embracing that so much. It's like everybody's walking down the street with a Flash shirt on now.
So Johnny, you have everything. You already have everything in your life. What do you ask for Christmas? What do you want?
You know, like, it's funny that you say that. I love giving at Christmas. I like seeing Kim's face.
Yeah.
It's not about me. I don't need anything for me.
Yeah.
I love seeing Kim's face or my family. I love shopping for them. I like getting the right stuff and hitting it right.
Yeah.
And I got some things for Christmas for Kim this Christmas I'm so excited about. What about for you? It must be about your daughter now.
Yeah, I've already picked up a whole bunch of stuff throughout the year that I've sort of shelved away.
She's the luckiest girl ever. Like, and you said, like, when I was over at your place, you even said that to her. You're the luckiest girl ever.
She's pretty damn lucky.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no.
You know.
I think one of the things that my wife and my daughter and I have been doing this year is a lot of traveling, and it's been really amazing to get away, and a lot of it has been into rural areas too. Like, we went up to Nelson, BC, and Salt Spring Island here in BC.
Yeah.
And I feel like the things that I want to think about for a gift is a little bit more in that vein.
Yeah.
Because we're very urban, you know, and we live in this, you know, kind of bubble of access to all of this amazing fantasy.
Yeah.
And trust me, my kid has got a lot of Lego and action figures coming. Shh.
Yeah, we'll say nothing.
Yeah, but I think it will be good for us to, and I'm still shopping, but I think it'll be good for us to kind of.
Is it hard to get Marcy something every year? Like your wife? Is it like, is it still hard to surprise her?
No,
it's still pretty good.
No, I get her pretty good gifts. Pretty good. She doesn't like it all the time. She's a choosy person.
Yeah.
And she's got an impeccable taste.
Like, I bought you a VR unit.
Yeah, no,
I'm joking.
I don't do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I did. You know, I bought her some silly things that I thought she would like, and just like, no, that's just too cheesy, man. But, but yeah, no, I get her stylish stuff and practical stuff and things that. I think she would wear on a regular basis or appreciate on a regular basis, and there is nothing better than buying something for someone. And like, I bought Marcy a nice purse one year, and she uses that purse.
I bought Kim a really beautiful bag purse. You know,
and it's an immense amount of satisfaction and joy from watching someone actually pull that into their life.
Oh no,
and that's their thing. You know.
Well, I know for Kim, like a couple of years ago, I went downtown to this goth store. And I'm looking at all the bags, and I don't know anything. I'm like, that one is so cool. It's like so gothy and so ridiculous, and so like little keys on it and all this crazy stuff. I'm like, that one. When she opened that up, she was so thrilled, and I was like, yes.
That's the biggest win, right?
Yeah, I felt good. And she's still, I call it her bag of mystery.
Yeah.
Do you know women with their bags? Like, Kim's bag, she's got like everything in this freaking bag.
Well, I'm a satchel dude, so I know what that's like.
I'm not at all.
I have my man purse.
You call it the bag of mystery.
The bag of mystery.
That sounds way cool. Let me look at my bag of mystery, not my man purse. You know, it doesn't work quite the same.
Are you guys doing anything? Are you going away for Christmas, or is it going to be here? Or are you going to be with family? What are you going to do?
take it easy on Christmas Eve. We like to spend the time just relaxing. We have a little bit of oh God, it's so Christmas traditions are so silly, aren't they?
Yeah.
We watched Karate Kid like 3 years ago. We watched Karate Kid every Christmas Eve during the day.
Okay.
I don't know why. It just,
all right.
You know what I mean?
Okay, I've never heard that tradition ever.
There's some weird. I have a lot of weird traditions. A lot of things we do, but next day I go down to Mission to visit my aunt and all our family there. I love that.
Yeah.
And what else? Boxing Day we have our parents over, our grandmother over. We make Christmas dinner again here,
cool.
And then hopefully a bit of decompressing time.
Yeah.
Because what about for you?
We do get away actually quite often to go visit family.
Yeah.
But this
year you're not going away though?
No, this year we're staying here, but we will be with family. We'll also be with friends on some of the nights.
Yeah.
And then there might be something in the new year that we take off for, something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
But we're going to be around and we're getting Christmas weather here. It really does feel like Christmas. Yeah.
I was driving through like Guildford yesterday, and it's been like a week since it snowed, and all the snow is still there, and all in the trees. It's beautiful. It was gorgeous.
Yeah, training out to your place, I was looking out the window, and we're lucky enough to live in a forested city.
Yeah, it is.
So you look out the window, and it's just these
trees.
Snow-covered trees.
Beautiful.
And it's like,
well, I enjoyed the drive out to your place last week, just before the snowstorm hit.
Yeah.
And the remnants of the snow was still there, and I was driving. I'm like, what a beautiful day! And the sun was out, but it was like glistening. It's nice.
Yep.
Really, really nice. So thank you so much. Merry Christmas to you and all your family.
Merry Christmas, and we'll have to have you back on our channel to review something soon, and we'll hang out a little bit more.
Absolutely.
People seem to like it, and you know what, John? I like it.
I like it. I absolutely love it, man.
You're a good dude.
For sure.
Right.
Subscribe to Victor Lucas's channel down below. I should have said it a little bit earlier on. I'll put a link down below.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Until next time.